It's safe to say in the last few weeks, Arsenal have definitely upgraded as a team. Everything has been clicking and finally the attack has been scoring a huge amount of goals, seeing them as the best creative team and goal scoring team in the league. But just a few months ago, the attack wasn't working, so what has Arteta changed and why is the attack suddenly working for Arsenal? Let's have a look. Now recently, if you've been keeping up with Stats Bomb and keeping up with the stats part of the football community, then you'll realise Arsenal are even more incredible than their thrashings have shown. Arsenal currently on a 15-game expected goal difference is currently the best it's ever been in 8.5 seasons of data. In the last 15 games, they have expected to create around 29.3 XG and concede around a 9.3 XG, which means they're expected to score 2 goals per game and concede around 0.67. Now, if you're not too familiar with XG, it basically means Arsenal are getting in positions where they should score at least 2 goals per game and not conceding that much. So they're basically putting themselves in the best defensive way and the best attacking way in the league right now. Now, I've done videos on the defense being amazing, and everyone knows Arsenal currently statistically have the best defense in the league, and it's been pretty good all season, so this isn't really a new thing. But suddenly the attack is hitting huge amounts of levels, better than we had last season in fact, and our 6-0 win against West Ham I think showed that to the world. And currently in the last 12 games Arsenal have played, they've scored 27 goals, which is the second most, had 231 shots, was the second most, but also had the most expected goals of 27.3. They are deservedly scoring at an incredible rate, and finally it's keeping up with what they deserve. And one of the main reasons why this is starting to work is because Arteta has become comfortable with using his team in many different tactical ways. I think the team overall have adapted to the different ways that he wants to play them, and I think per game we are starting to see that. Now there's no doubt about it, I did videos about it, everyone's been talking about it. Arsenal's attack was struggling at the start of the season, and it was mostly because they were trying to build up in their 3-2-5 system, but a lot of teams are playing against a low block against them, and they found it very hard to get past teams that are very deep. This obviously happens when you come second last season and more teams are going to be much more defensive against you. And Arsenal weren't really fluid at the start of the season. They sort of kept to their tactical building up and kept to the system they used, and often they were just getting man for man on the side, and Odegaard and Saka specifically were struggling getting 3v2'd quite a lot on that wing, often being hard to find space for the players. The first thing that Arsenal did to counter this was actually have one of their fullbacks usually go up and help the attack. So earlier on in the season we'd see Zinchenko or Tomiyasu usually help the others going forward. So to create a sort of 3-1-6 formation, this obviously helps them overload the play, and Rice would be sitting in the middle trying to make sure the other team didn't break. This has been effective for Arsenal. They've been able to keep teams pinned in, but also it gives them a lot of exposure on the break, and we saw West Ham really use that against them in December, where Rice is the only single pivot having to do it all by himself because everyone else is in the box. But Arsenal have used different ways to actually counter this and try and make sure their attack's better, and most of it is coming with the attack being more joined up with the midfield. They've been using this box midfield recently, whoever plays up front, if it's Jesus or mostly Havertz or Trossard, they come into this midfield and have the pressing strategies with Odegaard. Against Liverpool, we use a double pivot with Jorginho and Rice to create this box. Against West Ham, we even had Ben White invert to help this box, and Trossard and Havertz cover the left side. If not, Rice and Odegaard would do the other side if Ben White didn't come in. The much more better movement from people like Havertz and Trossard have allowed people to pick the ball up and get into positions to progress the ball up, and often Arsenal are working much more as a team to press and win the ball back higher up the pitch so they can actually create chances rather against a low block. And when teams are pinned back, they want to do what Liverpool do, and it's be able to have loads of shots from just outside the box or inside the box with the amount of numbers they have pressing them. And as soon as Arsenal win the ball back, they've been much quicker at getting the ball higher up the pitch, even if that's through Raya, who's in goal, kicking the ball or throwing the ball quickly out, or it's the team going to win the duels. But the key part of this is Martin Odegaard. Martin Odegaard has been a real big part of Arsenal's attack getting better, and it's the fact that we are better when he comes back and pricks the ball up and progresses it himself. When you've got someone else inverting such as White or Zinchenko, it helps him be able to actually come deeper and pick the ball up and find passes and make movement. This is because he can fluidly run into the attacking positions with the ball without worrying if he's in that box midfield, because we've got a double pivot with someone helping Rice. And combine this with brilliant off the ball movement from people like Trossard and Havertz consistently, it's given him a lot of options in the box and a lot of players to pass it to rather than giving it to Saka and just waiting for things to happen. And there's also been a lot more movement from people like Havertz going down the right side, which is helping us much more get the ball to Saka. This happened quite a lot against West Ham, for instance, where Havertz would find spaces in the little half space on the right side, which he simply wasn't moving into before. This is giving him the ball in an elevated position and often making people go towards him, so Saka can then get through and get a one-on-one. This happened constantly in the first half against West Ham, and Saka had many chances to keep doing better and keep getting the ball in good positions because Odegaard would also help him, while we also had a lot of players on the other side. This is because Ben White inverted in the middle with Rice, giving us a lot of solidified presence in the middle of the pitch, giving us also positions on the left and right, giving everyone much more attacking presence. I think Arteta finally trusts his defenders and makes sure his team doesn't need to be so defensive secure because he knows how good the defensive. In instances where Arsenal have 5 going forward against the defence, like against West Ham, we also have the fullbacks Kivior and Ben White invert centrally very high up the pitch. This is often to keep teams pinned back and keep Arsenal with a lot more players in there, so people have to go towards them, giving more space. And something Arsenal have been sneakily doing recently is to give Saka more help and give him more chance of actually going past players and creating something, is actually getting Martinelli to go to the other side of the wing when Saka is there, not switch and go together. And this has often been very good because Martinelli is getting the ball a lot more and helping Saka, who is our most important attacker on the pitch, and which has been a big reason why he's been on great form recently. And also the unpredictable nature of Arsenal's attack is definitely there. Sometimes Kivior overlaps, sometimes Ben White overlaps, sometimes they come inside, sometimes Odegaard's there, sometimes Havertz comes to the left, sometimes Martinelli's there. Now it's just so different. Against West Ham they simply couldn't cope, and against Liverpool we chose a different strategy with a double pivot and Havertz coming in, and it still worked perfectly. People drawing other players away from everyone so we can get into the box and create chances for our most important players. And it's not been smooth sailing. Against Nottingham Forest I think Arsenal really struggled in that game. They had so much control, but obviously Nottingham Forest had a very deep defence and very deep block happening. But Arsenal eventually found a way because Gabriel Jesus in that game did really well with brilliant movement, and I guess we got a bit lucky with some of the goals. But the quickness they have on the counter-attack has definitely proven vital, and it's getting to the levels of last season where Arsenal were just devastating going forward. And Arsenal play very high complicated football, but when you've got smart players like Martin Odegaard in the middle, it makes the team look a lot better and makes it work all perfectly. When players are picking up or telling people to pick up half spaces when they know that's a good position to be, then it's creating a lot more for Arsenal. Tactically I think it's taken some time for the team to adapt to this, and it means there's a lot of high quality plays that need to be made, but this, next to the fact that they are very good from set pieces, making this team much better. I know as an Arsenal fan there's a lot of negativity always around the club, and there's always that hope that kills you, but I do think Arsenal, if they continue to play like this and get some of their key players back such as Timber, I think Arsenal can really do well this season. I don't want to jinx anything, but they are playing, in my opinion, as one of the best teams in the Premier League right now, and they are deservedly beating these teams easily. And you have this fluid, brilliant, unpredictable attack in play with the astonishing defenders that Arsenal have. They can do anything. Don't rule them out of anything this season. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I recommend going and watch my Odegaard video about why he was so good in the West Ham game. I had to re-upload it, so if you've already seen it, thank you for watching.